In this video I'm going to show you how to create pop-ups like the one you see on the screen right now. From today it's a built-in feature for Blocksy Pro team, which allows us to create all sorts of pop-ups. For example, the one you see on the screen right now appears every time someone refreshes the page or lands on the page. I'm gonna show you how to create the scroll-based pop-up like the one you see on the down bottom here. Also, I'm gonna show you how to create another scroll-based pop-up like the one you see on the left with a subscription form. Next one, I'm gonna show you how to create the bottom bar like the one you see on the screen right now. Next, I'm gonna show you how to create a header button with a pop-up option. Take a look. If I click on the Contact Us button, it opens up the contact form. Also, it allows us to make links like the one in this text. If I click on it, it opens up contact form. And last one I'm gonna show you today is the exit intent pop-up. I'm gonna set it up to work only on a checkout page and only if someone wants to leave the page. If there is an exit intent, there is a pop-up. Psst, before you go, we have a gift for you. Use a coupon, for example. So if you're interested, then jump in because it's gonna be a fun ride. So let's start. Once again, I have to remind you that those pop-ups are only for Blocksy Pro version. So if you don't have a Blocksy Pro and you're using only the free version, then you don't have the option to create pop-ups. If you're interested, then take a look at the description of this video because I have a 10% discount coupon for you. You can use it to purchase Blocksy Pro, which is a really awesome theme. Okay, let's create the first pop-up. I'm gonna go to the Blocksy content blocks. I'm gonna add new, select pop-up template, and let's create a site-wide pop-up. Give the title site-wide pop-up. Create content block. And now you can create a pop-up using either Elementor or Gutenberg or whatever page builder you're using. I'm using the Gutenberg. So therefore I'm going to use a cadence blocks to create a content like the one you see on the screen right now. In order to keep the tutorial short, I'm not gonna show you how to use a Gutenberg or how to create the pop-ups. I'm just gonna show you how to set those up and you can design them as you like. So first, let's start with the pop-up position. I'm gonna set it to middle. Next one, pop-up size, I'm gonna set it to large, although I can set it also to custom size. Later I'm gonna show you how to use a custom size, but at the moment I'm gonna leave it to large. Pop-up animation, fade in, fade out is good for me, but you can use any other pop-up animation and set the pop-up speed, for example, half a second. Trigger condition, I want it to load on the page load, but you can set it to load on scroll to element, page load, and so on. I'm gonna later show you what the other ones will do, but at the moment I'm gonna set it to page load. Next one, trigger pop-up only once. It is wise to activate it, otherwise you will drive your customers crazy with a pop-up shown on every page. At the moment I'm gonna leave it deactivated because I want to demonstrate how this will annoy the hell out of the visitors if you don't do that. Next one, display conditions. As always with Blocksy, I can set a bunch of rules. For example, show on entire website, on single pages, single posts, post categories, WooCommerce shop page, and so on. But I'm gonna leave it to entire website. If I would like to add some conditions for the users, for example, show only for logged in users or logged out users or specific user role, I can do that here. But at the moment I'm not gonna do that. Since the summer sale works until July 28th, I'm gonna set the expiration date July 28th, 23:59. Visibility, I'm gonna show it on desktops and on tablets, but I'm not gonna show this pop-up on mobiles. Next one, let's design it a bit. I'm not gonna use any padding. I'm gonna leave the shadow and the pop-up offset. Close button is gonna be outside, but I can set it to inside or none. Later I'm gonna use those over there. Pop-up background, I'm gonna leave default, and backdrop I'm gonna set it to dark one with a some opacity. And nothing else to configure. Let's update it and let's see how does it work. There it is, our first pop-up. Now I'm gonna close it because I'm the regular user and I want to take a look at the site. If I open up anything else, well, there it is again. That's why I told you go to the general and trigger pop-up only once. I suggest you to activate this one. Let's refresh it and it's not there because I closed it. There is a cookie set to the browser. If you clean the browser history, then the pop-up is back. So this was the first pop-up. And the other one is the pop-up which is shown on the scroll and it appears on bottom right. So create a content block. Once again, I'm not gonna show you how to design it because it's gonna take time, but I'm gonna set it to pop-up position bottom right. I'm gonna set it to custom size, 600 pixels of width and 230 pixels of height. Fade in, fade out as a pop-up animation. Trigger condition, this time it's on scroll. From here I'm gonna set it to % and it's gonna be shown after 30% of scrolling. That means if someone is on the site, if he or she has been scrolling down at least 30% of site, then the pop-up will appear. Once again, I'm gonna set the display condition on entire site. Expiration date, once again, 28th of July. I'm not gonna show it on the mobiles. Under the design, I'm not gonna set the pop-up background. And now let's update it. Let's refresh a page. Now let's scroll down. And there it is. Now as you see, there is a padding here. We can fix it by going to the design, set the padding to 0. Update it, refresh it, scroll it down, and much better. So this was the second pop-up. Now let's create a third one. This time it's gonna be scroll based. It appears down bottom left and it contains a subscription form. So back to the content blocks, add new subscription form pop-up, select the pop-up template, create content block, set the position to the bottom left. This time I'm gonna make the custom size 400 pixels of width, no maximum height. Trigger condition on scroll, once again %, this time 20%. Trigger pop-up only once. Display conditions, I'm gonna show it only on, for example, blog page and not on mobiles. Once again, I'm gonna create a design. So I'm gonna add a cadence blocks row. Inside it, I'm gonna add accordion. Select this one here, delete second accordion. Here I'm gonna add a fluent form. I created earlier newsletter form. On top of it, I'm gonna add a text. Customize it and it's good to go. So at the moment, I'm gonna delete this one here and paste the one I created earlier. Now I'm gonna go to the design, padding to 0, close button none, pop-up background to transparent, no backdrop background, update it. Now let's go to the page, go to the blog, scroll down, and there it is, get the free WooCommerce course. There is a text with a subscription form. Now let's create a full width bottom bar pop-up. So add new pop-up bottom bar, create content block. I'm gonna add the full width row, this one here. Inside it I'm gonna add the text. I'm gonna set the position to bottom center. Custom size, this time I'm gonna select view width 100%. Maximum height 60 pixels. Fade in, fade out as a animation. Trigger condition is on page load, but you can also set it to after certain amount of time. For example, let's wait 10 seconds after page load and then it appears. If someone closes it, it will not appear again, so trigger pop-up only once. Display conditions, let's show it on a specific page, for example, specific page ID, let's show it only on About Us, yes. Under the design, once again, I don't want any padding to be there, therefore padding to 0. Pop-up offset, I'm gonna set it to 0 later, but I'm gonna leave it to 25 because I'm gonna show you what happens if I leave it to 25 pixels. Close button is gonna be inside, no backdrop background. Let's update it and let's go to the About Us page. So there it is. Let's wait for 10 seconds. And there it is. But as you see, there is offset 25 pixels everywhere. I don't want it to be there. Therefore, I'm gonna set the pop-up offset to 0. And I don't want this after X time to be there. I want it to be visible after the page load. So update it, refresh it, and there it is. Easy and simple, isn't it? Now let's create a pop-up for our customers. I'm on my checkout page and I'm gonna create a pop-up which appears only if the user moves his or her mouse outside the site area. If it happens, then the pop-up will be triggered because the system knows that probably the user wants to exit the page. So let's create the exit intent-based pop-up. Back to content blocks, add new pop-up, checkout pop-up, create. Let's design it. This is once again Cadence blocks with a row here, 2 columns, image here, text here, here and here, and it has a padding top and bottom and so on. So I'm gonna set it to appear in the middle. It's gonna be large size, trigger condition on page exit intent. Display conditions include only. Let's go to the specific page ID. Let's choose checkout. Visibility on every device. Under the design, once again, padding to 0. Close button outside. Let's customize the close button itself to the bluish one. Close icon color white. And hover also white. I'm not gonna set any pop-up background, but background I'm gonna set it once again to blackish with a opacity. Okay, let's update, refresh the checkout page. Now no pop-up appears, but if I move my cursor away, it's there. As you saw, I did not activate the trigger pop-up only once, but I can do that also. That means if the user closes it, it's only one-time offer. So let's demonstrate it once again. Refresh, move the cursor away, and there it is. Works like a charm. Now let's create another pop-up, and this time it's a pop-up button, and it contains our contact information and the contact form. You can design it as you like. At the moment I added a Cadence blocks row, icon list with 2 columns, fluent forms, and now let's go to the pop-up settings. I want it to appear in the middle. Size is gonna be large. I'm gonna set the trigger condition to none because I don't want it to appear anywhere else. Display conditions, entire site, no expiration date. It's gonna be visible only on desktop. I'm not gonna show it on tablets or mobiles. Under the design, I'm gonna set the backdrop once again, padding to 0, update it, and now how to set it up. Well, I'm gonna go to the appearance and customize. I'm gonna open up the header, drag the button in the place I want to be. I'm gonna open up the button itself, and now take a look, there is an open on click. Take a look at the selection, there is a pop-up here, and I can select whatever pop-up I want to be shown on a click. I'm gonna select the button pop-up, publish, and now if I go to the page and click on the button, as you see, it opens up very nicely. Let's test whether the form works. I'm gonna add some random information here. Send message, and works like a charm. Now let's go to the content blocks, and I'm gonna show you how to add the pop-ups to your content. As you see, I have a pop-up button we created a minute ago, and there is an output here. So I'm gonna just copy it, go to my page, open up the page for editing. Next, I'm gonna add a link, for example, for this text link, and I'm gonna paste this link here. Maybe I'm gonna add an underline to it, and now it's good to go. There is a get in touch button, which at the moment opens up the contact page, but I'm gonna replace the link with a pop-up link. Now let's update it, go to the page, and let's test it out. Click on a link, it works. Click on a button, and it works also. Once again, really easy to accomplish. So, a couple of last things to show you. Let's talk about some trigger conditions once more. On scroll to element, that means if I have an element on my page, for example, I'm gonna open up this row here. Under the additional CSS classes, I can add a class to it, for example, popup. I'm gonna update it, and on the scroll element, I'm gonna set it to popup. So this should appear if I scroll to the element popup. Let's test it out. Update, view page, scroll down, and there it is. Since I scrolled to the element called popup, it automatically appears. Next one, on page load, we already covered. We covered on scroll, we covered after X time, after 10 seconds, and we covered on page exit intent. Last one to cover is after inactivity. That means if I'm gonna set this to 30 seconds, that means if someone is on a page and the user hasn't refreshed or scrolled or done anything on a page for 30 seconds, then the pop-up appears. So maybe useful sometime. For the users who maybe left your site for a minute or two, then you can motivate them with a pop-up. So to conclude this tutorial, as you saw, it's really easy to create pop-ups with a Blocksy theme. You can create all sorts of conditions and rules. It's lightweight and easy to use and really awesome. Once again, take a look at the description of this video. There is a nice coupon code for you. Go and take a look and purchase a Blocksy Pro and create a nice pop-ups. Now before you go, take a look at the next video you see on the screen right now, because it's also full of useful content. If you want to thank me, then press on thumbs up button. And meanwhile, take care.